Hi, I'm Steve Boyles, Ohio State University Beef Extension Specialist, and here are some basic rules about handling livestock in a drought situation. The basics of livestock drought management are reduce the need and increase the feed. One of the ways to reduce the need is considering culling some of your livestock. Certainly, you might consider culling the open, non-functional cows if they have some teat problems. The late calvers, they have lighter leaning weights. You might consider that. Old cows, if you don't have concerns about them making it through the winter. Certainly, probably the best way to do it is based on herd performance. But admittedly, the older I get, cattle disposition becomes more and more important to me, and that could be a reason to send a cow down the road. We can also look at increasing the feed. What we're really doing is trying to reduce the amount of waste that we have with the feed we do have available. With hay, you think about using hay rings, maybe some fence to control access, have pads to feed on, and frequency of feeding and overall quality of the feed. This chart shows ways to reduce hay loss. It shows that with square bales in a rack, you only have about 7% waste, whereas a large bale in a rack, about 9%. If our hay is limited, we may not want to just leave the large bales out there with no rack. Wastage can be from 12 to almost half the bale. This has to do with frequency of feeding, whereas if we put a bale out there on a daily basis, we may have about 12% loss. Whereas if we take hay out every 4 days, that increases the loss. Unrolling can also reduce the waste. Now, all these numbers can shift based on quality. As you improve the quality of the hay you're feeding, there's going to be less waste. As you reduce the quality of the hay you're feeding, the cattle will probably waste more of it. With trough space, if you're going to feed grain to beef cows, beef cows actually fight less with 3 feet of space than with 6 feet. So they fight less with less bunk space than with more. There's a limit. We don't want them down to 1 foot per cow. But the reason for this, if we get a particularly long bunk, dominant cows can turn sideways and hit some of their herd mates. So more bunk space, you have to think about the dominant animals. If you're going to feed on the ground some grain, you may want to think about feeding under electric wire. Place the wire about 12 inches above the ground and allocate about 2 feet per cow. If you'd like more information on this topic and other topics, you can contact Ohio State University Extension and our Beef Team website. Thank you.